When communicating with the spirit world, the best way to tell the difference between your thoughts and imagination and real, authentic spirits communicating with you is by the way that you feel. That's the most important thing. And what I mean by that is really what sensations are your body experiencing when you're connecting with the spirit world, okay? Because we all put off these different sensations. Our body experiences different sensations when we're interacting with different energy sources, such as spirits, right? Or the energy of our environment, or the energy of another person. And if we focus in on those feelings and those sensations that our body's delivering, they're going to tell us a whole lot of information. All right. So when you're in your head and it's just your imagination or your own thoughts and you're not really connected with a spirit, it's kind of flat. You don't really experience all of the tingles, the hair standing up, feeling like there's wind blowing on your face, all of those different signs, right? I like to call that stuff spirit radar. It's all of the different things that you experience in your body when you're in the presence of a spirit, okay? There's some very common ones like the ones I just mentioned, right? Ears ringing is another one. There's some very common ones, but there are also going to be some that are unique to you, all right? So it's important that when we're connecting with the spirit world that we're really staying grounded and staying aware of our own body and what we're experiencing, because if you follow another practice where you have to meditate or you have to get in this relaxed or altered state to enable to communicate with spirits, it's not very grounded. You're not really experiencing spirit world in the way that you can with all of the possibilities that you can. Because when you're taking those other methods that you have to take, where you have to get in those altered states, it's kind of like, well, whatever happens, happens. You don't have a whole lot of control over it. You're not able to engage with the spirit world and connect with them, like ask them questions, get answers, and respond to those specific answers and have like a back and forth flowing conversation. It's really, really difficult to do that when you're taking that type of passive role. But when you're grounded and you stay in the body, you don't use meditation to communicate with spirits, and you're just focusing on the energy that surrounds you, you're focusing on what your body feels like, it's very easy to take an active role in spirit communication and really, really engage and get the most out of it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Let me check the comments to see who is in the live today and see what you're all up to. If you have any questions, don't forget, go ahead and drop your questions down here and I will get with you. Hey, thanks for all the lives, thanks for all the likes, thanks for all the follows. I really appreciate that. Ask your comment below, ask your questions, and we will get into it. Happy Wednesday. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I've been doing well. I've been doing really, really well. I've been super busy, so not going to live as much as I can. Thank you for the follow. So one of the things that have your spiritual gifts enhanced your life in any way? If so, how? Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest ways that I think that our spiritual gifts really help us move along is, hey, Christina, how are you? Long time no see. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything's going well for you. But yeah, one of the biggest ways that our spiritual gifts, can help enhance our life, right? It's not going to change your life. It's not going to magically do anything. But when you're in tune with the energy, you can make better decisions, right? Because you can look into the energy of your decision and see kind of how things are going to play out. You can kind of see if, the red flags. And again, there's still that being able to detach from the emotional investment that we have in decisions and stuff like that. That's the hard part, right? But as you get to doing this, you really see that and you really get those feelings early on. You really are able to recognize those red flags, right? And, one of the things that I do to kind of mitigate these red flags when they come up for me, or any kind of like when I'm looking into my energy and I'm trying to make a decision, an important decision, or even a daily decision, right? And if I have an emotional investment in the answer, now tell me if this is you. Tell me if this is you guys when you use your intuition, right? You know the answer that you want, but your intuition, your gut feeling tells you something different. And then you start to rationalize why the answer that you have the emotional investment in is the right one and how it should override your intuition. How many of you do that? Let me know in the comments, right? I'm no different. I do the same shit. But how I handle it once I do that is very different than I've heard anyone really talk about. So what I do is when I get, in that kind of situation, I start to allow myself to look down the energy of the decision that I have the emotional investment in. And I really go there and I really let it all play out. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm going through it and I'm seeing, all the possibilities of what's occurring, potential issues and things that I'm going to run into. How difficult is the path going to be? What am I going to be confronted with? Is there going to be ease? Am I going to face any kind of harm or, heartache? And then once I've allowed myself to really go there, right? Usually it's pretty painful. Okay. When you go against your intuition, you're able to see, you're like, well, fuck, that doesn't really play out very well for me. Then I'll go into the answer I got from my intuition and let that play out. And again, I will really go there. I will really try and allow myself to see that full path, right? And all of the, maybe there's some ease, maybe there is some difficulties, maybe that path isn't all that I thought maybe it was going to be. And so I'm able to make adjustments and so by feeling into everything, it allows you to really make the best decisions. And that's how it's improved my life the most, right? Communicating with spirits for me is just like communicating with anybody else. I love talking to people. I love engaging. I love being social. And so that's really more of what I do when I'm connecting with spirits in my own personal time. It's usually I'm out and about and connecting with random spirits. I just love to do that. I love to have conversations, right? Or if I'm out, I'll do it with some intent and purpose as well. If I can feel a spirit that needs some help, I'm going to work with it, and we'll do stuff like that. And so that's the long answer of how it's helped my life. I'm blind and I'm starting my path in mediumship. Okay, so that's, so if you're blind, I mean, I've worked with people that are blind and that are hard of hearing, and usually they're more in tune with their senses than anybody, right? Their psychic senses than anybody, because it's all internal. Those types of senses, our intuitive senses, our psychic senses, our spiritual gifts, are all happening through this internal dialogue that we have to get familiar with and understand when we're experiencing them versus being in our thought and our imagination. And so what I have found is those that have things like blindness and hard of hearing are actually a little bit more in tune. They're easier to work with. I don't know, Jerry, let me know if you find that for you. Find that, is that your experience as well? Or let me know what your experience is, or if I can help you. Hello, River. Hello, welcome everyone. My ears keep ringing and I know it is spirit, but I can't get through to the message. Any tips? Yeah, so Kate, here's the thing. We want to validate, like if you, it sounds like you really know that it's a spirit, so I won't go into the whole validation point. But here's what you can do is bring an awareness to your energy. When your ears stop ringing and you have that feeling, you know it's a spirit, right? Because sometimes our ears ring for legitimate medical reasons, okay? And that's always important to get checked out. But it doesn't sound like it sounds like you really know it's a spirit. So when you experience that, what I want you to do is just bring an awareness to the energy in your immediate environment, just the energy that's around you, and like a circle. You can even imagine like a bubble, right? Not a literal bubble, but if it can helps you visualize just and hold focus, just focus on like a 3 foot circumference around your body in all directions and just feel into that energy. And, you're going to feel some presence in there. And so once you do, just sit there feeling for a minute. And right, just like you get the knowing, my ears ringing, and I know that that's a spirit. You're gonna start to know that that's something else. You're gonna feel the energy, and you're just gonna know that it's your grandmother from your mom's side, right? And you're just gonna know that she's coming through to tell your mom happy birthday, right? And so you'll get that just by focusing on the energy, not trying to extract any information. All you guys need to do is just focus on the energy that's surrounding you in that moment, and you will start to download things. That is the easiest way to connect with the spirit world. So hey, unrelated, I saw one of your twin flame videos. Are twin flames romantic only, or do you think your actual twin can be one? No, so I don't believe in twin flame relationships, and I do sometimes I do some satire on them. So maybe that's what you were viewing, or if it's the video I just posted before I got on this live. I talked about what traditional twin flame relationships look like in the context of the spiritual community. The way that the spiritual community promotes or purports these twin flame relationships to be are these relationships that are there for you to grow through the pain, right? And so there's these painful, toxic relationships that you get into in order to grow. And if you both learn your lessons, you come back together in this divine union and all is well. And, I think that that's just a story to promote staying in toxic relationships. I don't buy into the twin flame story at all. I think if you're in a toxic relationship, it's because of decisions that you've made, and it's important to take responsibility for that so you can grow. And so you can get out of those relationships, and so you can get into a divine relationship. Because if you are in this toxic relationship, chances are that's your pattern. You've been in many of those. And if they're not twin flame relationships, what's happening are these are relationships you're getting into because the red flags of what the dynamic that you're in are going ignored. You're not able to recognize them. So if you find yourself in one of these painful relationships, the best thing to do is take inventory on it and see where these patterns are emerging in your life in other areas or in your other relationships, and get the fuck out of these toxic relationships so you can actually go work on those issues that you've identified. Then from there, as you're doing your work, you are going to meet other people that are along that journey as well, and you will get into your divine union that way. You'll both be doing your work, right? And so that's my answer. What do I think of the use of Ouija boards? No problem. It's just like communicating with any other spirit. It's the same exact thing as using dowsing rods, a pendulum, or crystals, tarot cards. It is really no different. And I know people have a lot of preconceived notions about those, but it just seems like the Ouija board takes a bad rap for things. A lot of people don't like to take responsibility for things that are going on in their life, and a lot of the times the Ouija board will take the blame, or a bad spirit or something will take the blame, and it's not necessarily that. I've used Ouija boards for a lot. My kids use them. They have their own Ouija board in their room that they play with, right? And there's nothing bad that ever happens or that has ever come through those things, right? And it's all, if a Ouija board was inherently evil, then it would be communicating with spirits is inherently evil. It's not. Can we connect with darker, heavy energy? Absolutely, if you want to, right? That energy is not going to wander in by accident. That energy is not going to be like, oh, there's a Ouija board, let's come through it and fuck with them, right? Just like there's not spirits going around going, oh, look, they're communicating with their loved ones, let's get them. Let's go down there and get them, right? You're surrounded by the spirit world at all times. There are no portals that open. We are in this energy soup with all beings, whether they're incarnate or whether they're pure energy, okay? And we're surrounded by them at all times. you've been okay your entire life. If you use a Ouija board, you're still going to be okay. Uh, I've just started on my spiritual path. I was a diehard atheist prior. I feel lost. I don't know. Yeah, so one of the first things that you have to do is right. We have to deconstruct all of those. Even if you were in religion, right? Even if you were coming out of religion, even coming out of atheism, you know, you have to deconstruct all of those beliefs that you held, and right, and the easiest way to do that is just literally throw everything away and go off of personal experience. So what I can tell you is, if you feel lost, start connecting with the spirit world, okay? And if you need some framework to help you get into that, you can go to the link in my bio and download my free spirit communication guide. It will walk you right into those types of experiences. And so just start there. And I know what you feel. I know that you feel lost. I was on that journey as well. I hadn't been communicating with spirits or had any of these experiences. It wasn't like I was, having them my entire life. I had a spiritual awakening in my 30s, and I opened up to all of this. Prior to that, I didn't think any of this was real. So I had to deconstruct my preconceived notions. And then not only that, when I went out into the spiritual community where I'm sure that you're finding yourself now, it's just overload of information. So much of it feels like bullshit. Some of it just feels too woo. And then the stuff that does resonate doesn't really fucking work. And so not only do you feel lost, it's frustrating too. And so that's why I take great care in my content to only put things out that you can take and immediately apply to have an experience with. Because if you're not having an experience, a personal experience, all of this shit is subjective. Like, I can't say, here's concrete proof of the spirit world, right? I can get pretty close. We can get pretty close and say, here's anything. This is the concrete proof and evidence, right? That we are spiritual beings and that there's more to life than this body, right? I cannot give another person that concrete proof, but I have it myself because I've experienced it. Just like everyone else that's on this live that has experienced it, right? You know without a doubt that this is real, okay? And so it's concrete to you, right? You've had your own concrete experience that you don't need to, that you can't prove, right? You can't prove to anybody else, but the information is concrete to you. The experience is concrete to you. That is what you need to look to recreate more of those experiences, okay? Independent of anything out there that people are telling you, right? So don't blindly adopt things that you're reading, that you're researching. Just don't blindly adopt those things as beliefs, or you're falling back into, organized religion again or atheism again, right? And so you just need to move forward without and just try to have those experiences, right? And so follow people, research the information, look into the things, the people that are out there that are trying to get you into experiences, right? So you can validate it, right? So you can validate what's real and what's not, right? That's the only way. That's the only fucking way for us to validate our own journey. I hope that helps you. Hey, Miss Dawn, how are you doing? I would more. I would love more depth to talk to you about it. I always have a tingle or touch on the right side of my head, and I know it's spirit, but I don't know what. So again, Angel, what you want to do is just bring an awareness when you know it's spirit. When you know it's spirit, feel for the energy of that spirit, right? That's step one. When I meditate, I see the outline of faces. Is this normal? Yeah, sometimes it is. I hear that's fair. I hear that fairly often. I particularly don't see that. A lot of times these things in meditation can be subconscious projections, right? That's what's happening. Our subconscious gets discharged during meditation. It's kind of like dreams, right? Our subconscious gets discharged during dreams. And so that could be what happens. Or, when you meditate, the conscious mind relaxes and you become more receptive. And so if there's spirits around you, which there always are, you could start to see an outline, or you could start to see some of them. So it's going to be one or the other. I would love to talk more in depth about blindness and mediumship and your experiences. Yeah, feel free to ask. Feel free to ask any questions here. Yeah, the concept of twin flame doesn't sit well with me either. Do you need to do shadow work first to open up to spirits and past loved ones? Yes and no. So, doing shadow work is not going to flip a switch that allows your big gifts to come through. But the best thing that you can do for your spiritual gifts is to live an amazing fucking life and to feel good. Shadow work gets you there. Shadow work, trauma therapy is another word for it, right? Is another way to get yourself feeling good and breaking free of the emotional material that's holding you back, right? Shadow work's the best way to do that. And so I think that everyone should do their own inner work, but not specifically because you want to connect with the spirit world. It's because you want to have an amazing fucking life and break free from your bullshit, right? That we all carry, right? And it never ends. I'm doing my shadow work. I have therapists, I work with people. It's really important to make it a continual journey, right? Because as you get to a certain point where you recognize your bullshit when it comes up faster, so you can immediately work on it, right? It's not like you have to go through these years of the shit playing out before you get sick and tired and go, what the fuck is going on? You can recognize it immediately, and you can get to that point fairly quickly, but you have to begin. Do I believe in karmic relationships? To a certain extent, yeah. And what I believe, the way that I believe is not like in traditional spirituality where it's like, okay, we have the same karma, so we are going to be in a relationship, or we have unfinished business, so we have this business that we have to finish, right? This karma that we have to resolve. I don't necessarily believe in that, and I don't believe that it's a conscious decision. I think it's more energetically and what the relationships that we get drawn into, because karma is kind of like the totality of our energy, our energetic signature, and what we're emanating, right? And so if I'm emanating if I'm emanating the energy, right? If my core issues, right? And we'll talk about dark stuff first. If my core issues are boundary issues and I'm letting people walk all over me, right? And there's other people out there that their core issue is aggression and the need to walk all over people, my natural proclivity, right? My natural inclination is going to gravitate towards people that will walk all over me, just like the people that will walk all over me are going to gravitate towards somebody that have poor boundaries. It doesn't really have to do with anything about unfinished business. It has more to do with our unhealed shit than anything. My mom's energy is a light purple color. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, spirits can present themselves in many different forms, not just the silhouette of how they looked when they were in human form. There's many different forms. That's cool that you're seeing her in purple. I saw my daughter, my 4-year old daughter. She's about to turn 5 next week, but I saw her before she was born in a purple and pink silhouette, and she came through, and I actually named her Violet because of it. And when she came, of course, now her favorite color is purple. So it's pretty crazy. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing the live. Yeah, you guys, if you feel free to share the live, I really appreciate it. What are my thoughts on dragon medicine? Can you expand on that a little bit more? Are you mean by like power animals, like invoking the energy of these archetypal figures as like power animals or medicine? When we talk about animal medicine, that's more of like a shamanic tradition. which I'm all for that. Anything that allows you to embody the energy that you need to get through a situation, fuck, I'm all for that. We use a lot of that stuff. I used a lot of that stuff when I was doing my somatic therapy, working with clients in my therapy practice. I would do a lot of somatic work, and there would be people that have been beat down for years, and you would tell them, what do you need? Like, what, I want, why don't you call on a figure that represents strength and courage for you, so you can stand up to these people, or so you can speak your mind, who shows up for you, right? And then usually it's always an animal or an ancestor, right? And so, an animal will show up. If that's what you're meaning in the context of dragon medicine, I'm all for that. That's a shamanic deal. Have you ever seen a bridge? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I see lots of bridges. A spiritual bridge, an energetic bridge? Not really. Why do spirits need to grow with all the negative experiences? We don't. We don't need to grow through negative experiences. It's our unhealed stuff that causes those negative experiences. And so, if we can, the faster we work through them, the faster we recognize them, the less negative experiences we actually have to have. And some people, it's just a process. You have to think, we've been doing this for lifetimes. The earth is relatively new in terms of eternity. And so we were doing all this shit on other planets. And so who knows, maybe we've come a long way, right? And if you tune into some of your past lives, I've been professionally regressed into over 30 past lives. I can tell you, I've came a long fucking way. Have I ever felt a touch by something that wasn't there? Yeah, I feel it all, I feel a touch every now and then. And, I have really good boundaries with the spirit world. So if there's something that touches me, I tell it, get the fuck out of my energy, you know? And even if it's a family member, or even if it's like a spirit guide, if you walk up to me and touch me before I realize you're there, I'm going to tell you, get the fuck out of my energy, And so, yeah, it does happen. It does happen, but it's nothing to startle about. Just see who's there, right? I've been trying to connect for so long to connect to spirits. I know it's been difficult 2 years. Um, so, so what have you been trying specifically? Because I understand that it is difficult following traditional information. But here's the thing: it is easy and straightforward. We just have to let go of all the complexities of spirit communication and all of our preconceived research about it. If you think it is going to take a long drawn out period, if you think that you have to be somebody special, if you think that you don't have it or you don't have it as strong, you're right. Right? We have to let go of that, because I see the next question: can anybody be a psychic or medium? Yes, everyone has spiritual gifts. Everyone, we all have the same ones, right? But depending on your upbringing, you may not have confidence in them. And that's really what we've got to break through, is the confidence issue, right? That's the main thing that I work on with my students in my mentorship program, right? Usually, once I can get them into those have two or three undeniable experiences, that's it. The confidence comes through. It's all about delivering evidence to your brain. That's how we create confidence, right? You deliver enough evidence to your brain that you're confident, right? When you first started riding a bike, you sucked until you were good, right? Until you got it down and you got that confidence, then you were able to just jump on and ride, right? It's the same thing, right? Once you delivered the evidence to your brain that you can ride and not fucking die, it's the same thing. Once you've delivered the evidence to your brain to show that you can do this, you've got it. And it usually just takes somebody showing you how easy it is. What do I think about people's experiences on plant medicine? I think there's some really. I'm a plant medicine advocate. I've sat in plant medicine ceremonies. several times. And I think they're wonderful, beautiful experiences. I think that they're great for somebody first coming into an awakening, that are first starting on this journey, because it really helps set aside the conscious mind and really go deep. But it really depends on who you are working with. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, it has turned into this commercialized experience, and a lot of the benefits of shamanism and plant medicine are just turned into this commercialized, let's get as many people in here as possible. And so here's my suggestion on, if you feel called to do plant medicine, don't research it. Don't look out. Don't try and find people. Don't look online. If it is meant for you, if it is something, if it is part of your path, the spirit of the medicine that you are to work with will reach out and find you. Okay? Do alcohol and cigarettes dull our abilities? So this is the thing. We can lump prescription medications and recreational drugs into this same answer I'm about to give you. Do these things allow you to have a better quality of life? If they are allowing you to have a better quality of life, then they are helping your spiritual abilities. Are these things taking away your quality of life? If they're reducing your quality of life, they are hurting you. They are making it more difficult. The answer is that simple. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. I used to. Until I realized that, those things were taken away from reducing my quality of life, and I want to have an amazing life, and I'm willing to give up and do the things that I need to do in order to have that amazing life. I'm willing to put in the work to have an amazing life. Can you talk to your loved ones or get information from them, or is it only for others? Yeah, I talk to my own loved ones all the time. My students talk to their own loved ones all the time. There is no limit on this. You can connect and communicate with any spirit that you want, anytime, and you can go right into it without meditation. Yeah. I just joined a development circle, and the lady says there's no such thing as a bad or evil spirit. Well, it sounds like you got into one of these traditional spiritualist churches, probably, and that's their belief, right? And so, again, validate it through your own personal experience. I don't believe in evil. I don't believe there's evil spirits. I don't believe there's bad spirits. I believe there's dark and heavy energy. But I also, and that's what I choose to call it, right? Other people may label it as bad and evil, but I don't think that that accurately describes what it actually is. It's not as bad as that. Or it's not as negative as that. There's dark, heavy energy out there. There's nothing to be afraid of. I engage with it whenever I come across it. And if you're not somebody that's willing to do that, chances are you will never come across it. And if you do, engage with it, because when you engage with the energy that's around you, you're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn why that is around you. Okay? You're going to learn why, and you're going to learn something from it. There's nothing to be afraid of, and then you can assert your boundaries and say, I don't want you here. Okay? So, look, if you're just starting off on this path and you're looking for a clear framework that will walk you through exactly what to do to connect with your first spirit, then you can download my free spirit communication guide at the link in my bio. On the other hand, if you've been doing this a little while and you're frustrated and you can't figure it out, your experiences are random, and you want to connect with the spirit world and communicate with them in a way that you're confident, in a way that is undeniable, then you're probably best in my mentorship program. And if that's something that interests you, you can schedule an interview for my mentorship program, again, at the link in my bio. So, anyway, I got to get running. I got an appointment here in a few minutes. I really appreciate all of the engagement on this live. I appreciate all of your questions. I love you all so much. Thank you.